chapter 2, verses 31 to 40. Swadharmamapi chapekshya navikampitumahasi dharmyati yuddhaseyonya kshatriyasya na vidyate yadrichaya sopapannam Swadharmapavrtam Sukhina Kshatriya Patha Labhante Yuddhamidrisham Patha Chetvamimam Dharmyam Sangramam na karishyasi Tatat Swadharmam Kirtim cha Ditva Papamavapsyasi Akirtim chapi bhutani kadayishyanti sevyayam sambhavitasya chakirtihi maranagatirishyate bhayadranadukaratam masyante tvam maharathaha yesham chatvam bahumataha Bhutvayatyasilahabam Avachyavadamscha bahun Padishyanti travahitaha Nindantattavasamartyam Tato dukkataram nukim Hato va prapyasi swargam Jitva va bhokshyase mahim Tasmaduttishta kaunteya Yuddhaya kritanishchayaha Sukha dukkhe same kripa Labhalabhau jayajayau Tato yuddhaya yudyasva Naivam papamavapsyasi Yesha te vihita sankhye Buddhi-yoge vimam shruno Buddhya-yukto yaya partha Karma-bandham prahasyasi Neha-vikramana-shosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Svalpamapyasya dharmasya Rayate mahato bhayat.
Two factors can drive the action. One is the likes and dislikes. Another is the sense of obligation. One is likes and dislikes. Arjuna came into the war liking the fight. Now something happened. He wants to move away from the war, not liking it. So you get into action because of a like. You can stop acting because you no more like it. So one thing that can drive action is your likes and dislikes. The other thing that can drive action is the sense of obligation, duty. The moment you talk about, the moment you say duty, your individual likes and dislikes has no role there. It ought to be done, it ought to be done. Not only obligatory action, that obligatory action, extra incentive, is in your field of swadharma, action driven by likes and dislikes versus obligatory action. The right way of acting is obligatory action. Not only it is just obligatory action, it is in line with your swadharma. What else you can ask for in life, Arjuna? For a Kshatriya, what else? What else you can get? Because rare does anyone get this combination. Rare does anyone get into this combination. And here you are having, for there is nothing better than a Kshatriya than this. The field of activity is righteous. Not all wars are righteous. Not all conflicts are righteous. All conflicts are selfishness and self-centeredness. It's not only war. Any conflict anywhere, there is no righteousness in it. It is only selfishness and self-centeredness. So the field of activity is selfish. Your actions are driven by likes and dislikes, no sense of obligation, no connection to Swadharma. That's how every human being acts. Here you are, Arjuna. All these impossible combinations have come in place. So it's not an ordinary war. It's a righteous war. And your duty is to fight. So, in the Swadharmic field of activity, for a righteous cause, you got an opportunity to do what you ought to do. What more you can get? What a wonderful opportunity you got, and you want to escape. This wonderful opportunity you want to let go of because of what? Like this. I just don't like it. Just don't like it. So, whatever opportunities nature provides you for your growth, you discard it. That's what he said. Whatever opportunities is given to you, you discard it. How do you discard it? Because of likes and dislikes. The obligatory action, there is always a resistance to obligatory action. Any higher action, there will be a resistance. Why there will be a resistance is because it doesn't suit your likes and dislikes. It doesn't suit your current set of whatever you are doing. That's why we say we'll do all this we'll do later. Not now. I understand that it has to be done, but not now, later. Why? Because currently it is not. It's not. Something else is more priority. Something else has become more important than this. Resistance is because of what? Resistance is because likes and dislikes. Resistance is because of you resist doing it, or you have to put in so much of effort just to drive yourself to do an action. Why that? What brings about this tremendous resistance? The tremendous resistance is because result orientation. Where there is a proof of result, where there is a guarantee of result, motivation, energy comes, motivation comes automatically. Where there is no proof of, where there is no guarantee of a result, where you do not know whether it will happen in the way that you want it or not, like it or not, how can you drive yourself to do it? That's why even before we start, we ask, are you sure it will work? No, sir. Okay, we are ready to do all that, but sure it will work? No, you don't know. You have to only try. Oh, you yourself don't know, then might as well go to someone else who knows whether it will work or not. And then there are so many people telling you that for sure it will work. And anyone says for sure it will work, now you can be very clear that it will not It will not work. Because it is dependent on the sincerity of your doing. See, before we do not know what amount of sincerity you have brought into the doing, the result can never be predicted. The result can never be known, because the result of the doing is not the doing alone, the intensity of the sincerity that you bring into the doing, or to whatever extent you are sincere, the result will be in that direction, positive. Here comes the difficulty. Everyone in the deepest core believe that they are very sincere. That's it. No God can come and do anything at this point, because in the core everyone believes that they are sincere. I sincerely did it, but result went wrong. Why the resistance? The resistance because there is no guarantee of result. You want to do an action with a guarantee. What is the guarantee? That it will work. Even before going to a temple, I check on the result. What does checking on the result means? How many people have gone to the temple before? For amongst those who went, how many of their prayers got answered? And you strike one average, and then you say, chances are Kabali Tapona, chances are it might work. You think like that. Balasubramanian says, I am living straight in front of Kapali only. I am opening. I open and see him only. Nothing is happening. So he said, go somewhere. So even before it can be a mundane action, it can be a spiritual action, it can be any action. It doesn't matter. There is only one thing. What? Result? Orientation. The proof of result. And no one can give you the proof of result, because the proof of result is dependent on your doing. What sincerity you bring into the doing, to that extent only result happens. But if you already believe that you are sincere and you don't have to do anything to attend to that part, no action happens. So for all practical purposes, no action happens, which is what he calls as inaction. For all practical purposes, there is no action that is happening. In a very poetic way, they call it as inaction. In the modern day context, the word inaction will not appeal that much. In the modern day context, you have to replace it with another word. Useless action it is. Because imagine that society at that point of time where everyone has to do something or the other just to keep the minimum life going. Everyone has to keep acting. Today the whole family can sit in front of the television from morning till night and not do anything. Put the clothes in the machine, order the food, have a remote gate where you don't even have to go, get up and open the gate for that man to come. Yeah, you see the camera, who's there, open the button, the gate opens, the man comes, delivers the food and goes. You understand? What is that? A set of useless action. Arjuna, you wanting to come into the battlefield is also like that. Now, you wanting to get away is also like that. Same opportunity you have. What is that opportunity? A righteous war, because all conflicts are not righteous. All conflicts is because of selfishness and self-centeredness. Where there is a fight, where there is a conflict, there is selfishness. See, no one fights to serve, no. No one fights to serve. No one. That's why in only relationship where it happens is that Guru-Shishya relationship. The teacher is constantly thinking of serving the student. The student is constantly thinking of serving the master. There is a fight going on, almost like a fight going on between the two. What wonderful is that relationship. Something unique happens between them. Because both are constantly, the focus is on serving other. All other relationships is a conflict. What is the conflict? The conflict is because of selfishness. What is selfishness? At least recognize, no, I don't want anything, sir. I am not asking for diamond. You can ask, no, what's wrong? You can ask. I am not asking for this. I am not asking for that. All that I want is, all that I want is, that person must recognize what I am doing, no? Selfishness. Self-centeredness. You have done, whether the other recognize or not is a problem. From your side, have you done it or not? You follow what I am saying? Therefore, down the line, there is always an inaction. Here, you are getting a wonderful opportunity. What is the wonderful opportunity? Not all wars are, not all conflicts are righteous. And here, you are having a righteous war. That itself is enough incentive to fight. Not only that, it's your swadharma. Not only that, it's your swadharma. Not only that, it's an obligation too. So, swadharmic field, obligation, righteous cause. What else do you get? Whoever understands this, that's what he is going to explain in the next two verses. In the next two verses, he will explain if a person has rightly understood that, what happens? What happens to them? What happens to them if you understand rightly the opportunity you got an opportunity to perform your obligatory action. If you understand it rightly, who are those? What happens to them? What happens in them? The next two verses talks about it. Before we go into it, you need to understand this primarily. It's a righteous cause, swadharmic field. Not only it is just a swadharmic field, obligation because when does it turn into an obligation? When does an action turn into an obligation? Action turns into obligation when you have directed it to the goal. When you dedicate your action to the goal, it becomes an obligatory action. If you do not dedicate this action to the goal, it is only selfish, self-centered, likes and dislikes action. You follow? Action is dedicated to the goal. When it is dedicated to the goal, it turns into an obligatory action. What is the goal? The righteous cause. Right in front of you, there is the righteous cause. And you are discarding that. Opportunity. Unless you are elsewhere, later on he is going to say that. Unless you are he goes on saying, Pramudatma, Vimudatma means master class in foolishness. Master class, you have to be a unique species, Arjuna. We are having got this wonderful opportunity, you discard it because of something so trivial. What is it, something so trivial? I don't like it. That's all. Why you do it? Because I like it. I will not do because I don't like it. Is it okay? Yes.
We already have a strong notion that we are sincere.
Yes.
What I don't understand is what is our understanding of sincerity and what is actual sincerity.
Real sincerity is, your notion of sincerity, there is no notion. It is just an assumption. This is what I said last week. Everyone at the core have assumed certain things about themselves. Everyone has certain assumptions about themselves in the core. What are those assumptions about themselves at the core? I am right. I am right. I am sincere. I know. The core. And the periphery at the periphery there are so many things that is happening. And don't get carried away by your own periphery. If others get carried away, it's understandable. If others think that I am a very spiritual person, that is okay. If I myself start thinking I am very spiritual, what to do? The core. You understand? So in the core there are certain assumptions. That's what he means. You have taken it for granted. It's taken for granted. What is taken for granted? A sincere person like me is facing failure. How to achieve success? He will turn around and say, be sincere. You follow? See, the question that I ask is, a sincere person like me is facing failure. Now give me a technique for success. He will turn around and say, be sincere. You will go back thinking what? He didn't even understand what I am asking. I am saying I am already sincere. It's an assumption. So, in the core there are certain assumptions. What are the assumptions in the core that is so firm, that is so stubborn? Dridam, he says, Balavat. It's so stubborn at the core. What is it? I know. You understand? Therefore, what is sincerity in the true sense? Number one, who is qualified to define sincerity? Not the dictionary fellow. See, there are two ways. One is the dictionary defines what sincerity is. Now, life doesn't go by the dictionary. Life doesn't go by the dictionary meanings, because everyone has their own dictionary. So, who's the one who's qualified to define what sincerity is? The person who has dropped the ego completely. That man alone can say what sincerity is. That's why these enlightened masters define what is sincerity. For they know what sincerity is. Conscientiousness, the word that he uses. Whatsoever you do it conscientiously. Do it conscientiously. That's all it is. What is that? What is the definition of it? The definition of it is this. The definition of sincerity is what? An understanding that in action, doing is only your role. Result, you have result, it's not of. In action, there are two aspects to action. One is the doing, another is the result. Sincerity, he says, is entire focus is only on the doing part, unconcerned about the result. That's why he says, your duty is to act. Result belongs to me. Very poetically he says, result belongs to me. Elsewhere, in the 4th chapter, he makes it so clear. Kripana palahetavaha. He says, wretched are those whose motive, he calls them as wretched, whose focus is only on the result, on the fruit. So what is sincerity? An understanding about action. What is action? Two components to action. One is your doing, another is the result. Right knowledge, he has what? I can only do. I can only do. What comes out of it? It's not my concern. An emotional way, a devotional way of looking at it is, I have done what I ought to do, whatever comes, I take it as prasad. That is the bhakti way, that is the devotional way of looking at the same thing. But both of them are concerned about what? Action, doing. So the moment, to what extent I am focused on the doing, to that extent I am sincere. That's a definition of sincerity itself. All planning is about what? All planning is not about doing. All planning is about the result. First is the result and the most effective way. Cost effective, cost cutting, I don't know what all it is. The most effective way of arriving at the truth. You understand what is sincerity? Right knowledge. What is right knowledge? There are two components to action. One is the doing part, another is the result part. The result part is not under my control, because the result is the play of totality. The result is the play of totality. And we do not know what? And we do not know what the totality is. Therefore, it is futile to be bothered about the fruits. It's futile to be bothered about the result, because the result is totality. Like the farmer can sincerely plough the field and keep the field ready when the sun is beating him down. If drought comes, if rain didn't come, if rain doesn't come for a year, it doesn't mean he is not sincere. Are you able to understand the difference? It doesn't mean that he is not, oh, I have done it so sincerely. It means rains must come. Condition I put. That's not sincerity. Because I understand about action I understand what? My role in action is my doing part. The result is unknown. Because we do not know the total forces that is shaping up the result. There is a divinity that shapes our ends. In the play Othello he says, there is a divinity that shapes our ends. Meaning, the result is not under our control. Why? Because we do not know what all forces goes in shaping up the result. But individually, you would have done good to yourself. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha. You would have done shreyas to yourself if you are sincere. One. Is it okay till now? In the totality of it, if you see, effort never goes waste. It always, in the totality of it, you will never lose. When we come to verse number 40, what Karma Yoga is, what the law of action is, verse number 40, chapter 2. We have 8 more verses to go there. If you have to understand Karma Yoga, you have to understand action, sincerity by heart. Verse number 40. Extraordinary verse. Neha vikramanasosti pratyavayo na vidyate. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Arjuna, in Karma Yoga, there is no loss of effort, nor does it produce contrary result. Extraordinary law. In this meaning, in the right way of action, he says, there is no loss of effort, nor does it produce contrary result. All the time we have problems with these two in action. I have done, sir, but result went ulta. He says, no, it's not possible. It will not produce contrary result. Contrary result means you do good, bad comes to you. He says, it doesn't happen like that. Nor does it contrary result or loss of effort. Loss of effort means Pannadalla Vyarthamai. What all I did became waste. About action, we always have these two complaints. Effort, either it's a waste of loss of effort, waste of effort, or it has produced contrary result. In this meaning, in Karma Yoga, it doesn't happen like that. It's a law. If it is happening like that, means you have not done Karma Yoga. You have not done it. Are you able to understand? The doing part. The result is always of the totality. The result is always of the totality. You understand? Imagine he puts his heart and soul, even at the age of 90, to talk. If there is no one is listening, everyone is so preoccupied with whatever they are doing. If no one is listening, does that action become a waste? Does it become a waste? From his standpoint, he says, It's not a waste. You might see it as a waste. You might see it as a waste. From his standpoint, he says, it's not a waste, because this is what? Talking is under my control. I can sincerely talk. That's all I can do. But your listening is not my control. Now, I am not going to do attractions to make you. You follow what I am saying? The difference is? Otherwise, what a waste of valuable time. Neha vikramanashosti pratyavayo navidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya. Little bit of karma yoga you practice, Arjuna. Swalpam means little bit of this dharma you practice. You are protected from mahato bhayat. Great fears you are protected from. You are protected from great fears. Extraordinary verse. You have to understand the effect of action. You want to know what action means? Remember this is. Is it okay? That's what sincerity is. Doing and the result. You yourself get convinced only when the result comes. Based on the result only you believe that you have done good work. Avada. And today, since it has happened, therefore I did it sincerely. Are you able to understand? That is ignorance to where the doer gets the conviction that he has done it rightly only based on the result. Today, if you look at it, you feel happy looking at the Avada. Since it has come, I am convinced that I have done it correctly. Kritakrityascha, he says. Kritakrityascha. The satisfaction of having done what ought to be done. Kritakrityascha, he says. That's all that experience of sincerity is. Is it okay? The worst is, it is the result that acts as the proof of your action. That is why you are so dependent on others. If I am not convinced about my wisdom, I need 10 people to come and tell me. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, 10 fellows comes and tell me, I feel very, maybe you lack conviction. Selfishness, self-centeredness, ego is a cover, it lacks conviction. It will be dependent on the fruit. That's the deepest. Ego is a coward. Selfishness and self-centeredness makes you a coward. Therefore, you become utterly dependent on the others. Opposite of that is what he calls as self-sufficiency. You are all by yourself. Conviction. Is it okay? Sincerity. It's all sincerity. Okay? Yes, Bharat. Yes. 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 Is it not a result of growth? Yes. Correct. a result orientation. Correct? Yes. If what he is asking is, எனக்கு ஒன்றும் புரியல அவர் என்ன கேட்டார். Result orientation means, you are saying result orientation is not wanting to grow itself a fruit, a result. Is that not itself a fruit, a result? Is that so? All action. So in a way, even the selfless action is a kind of result oriented action. What are you talking? He didn't say that. He is not saying that. What is the answer? What you are seeking, you are that already. In the very first step, Vedanta removes the result orientation. Tat Tvam Asi. Result orientation is removed at the very first step itself. We might not be able to conceive of it right now, but then they made sure that from the beginning, even unconsciously, you are practicing only what? No result orientation, because what you are seeking, you are that already. Spiritual evolution is not an attainment. Spiritual growth is not an achievement. Spiritual growth, spiritual attainment is refreshing the memory. You have forgotten who you are only told who you are. You understand the difference? Otherwise, you are correct. If this fundamental step is not there, what you are saying is correct. Are you able to follow? Otherwise, that's also a kind of result orientation. And these masters are slightly smarter than us. So what they did, in the very first step itself, they said, what you are seeking, you are that already. For whatever reasons you have forgotten about it. You are that. Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. It means you understand that you didn't attain growth. Upon realization, you will not say, I achieved self-realization. I simply came to know who I am. All along I didn't know who I am. Now I knew who I am. There is no attainment here. There is no achievement here. Because of this very first step, Vedanta is very unappealing. Vedanta is not so appealing because ego likes attainment. Ego likes achievement. Ego likes attainment. Ego likes achievement. If you are that already, now what will the ego do there? The ego has absolutely no role to play. No. You have to become this. You have to become that. Now, if there is something that is, there is something that is inspiring, motivating. To what? Motivating, inspiring. To what? To the ego. To the ego. Anything that is inspiring, motivating to the ego knowledge, that is wrong. Because see, the ego itself is wrong, no? The ego itself is wrong. See, wrong in the sense, not wrong in the sense of righteous and unrighteous. Wrong in the sense of the snake is wrong. The existence of the snake is wrong in that sense. You follow? The existence of the snake is wrong fundamentally. Because in truth what exists? Rope exists. Now that you are seeing a snake, they assume that they are also seeing the snake and they are trying to explain to us. That is their compassion. But in truth, it's wrong. Because the existence of snake itself is false. Asat it is. Unreal it is. Ego is the snake. Ego is the snake. Therefore, inspiration is to eliminate the snake. The snake can't get inspired. The inspiration is for what? To eliminate the snake. Are you able to understand? Are you following what I am saying? Therefore, self-realization is the only pursuit in life which has got no result orientation. Everything else is result oriented. That's why upon spiritual evolution, you don't claim any attainment, you don't claim any achievement. You say, all along I was on the road, not knowing where my house is. Today, I remember and it's a remembrance. Isavas Upanishad says, Tato smara, remember. That's all it is. In this chapter, when he is going to talk about the portion, the verses before Sthita Prajna, he says, remember, because it's a remembrance. In remembrance, there is no result orientation. Are you able to follow? Siriya, did I answer you? Self-realization is not an attainment. Spiritual evolution is not an achievement. It's not an attainment. That's why ego feels no motivation to do this at all. Because ego likes to say that I have achieved. Ego likes to say that I have achieved. Because where you are, it feels. Where you are, it feels not content, not happy. Where you are, that's why say the ego is a coward, because it has to hide. It has to hide. That's why the thieves always hide, no? They always hide. Ego is that coward. It has to hide. The true nature of that ego is powerlessness. The true nature of ego is strengthlessness. It has no power. It has no strength. It hides behind attainment and believes that it has become strong. That's why all attainments these masters ridicule. Whatsoever you have attained, and go to that man says, you have attained nothing. We feel, maybe avaralu mudiyala namakku vandiruchenu, he is maybe slightly, avaru kuda konja stomach burning irukku pol irukku. All attainments, all achievements is of the ego covering its true nature. What is the true nature of ego? Cowardice it is. That's why you will never want to be egoistic in your life again, because you understand what it is just and it hides. What all it hides behind? 700 verses he has to say, what all it hides behind. Fundamentally it is that. So, the spiritual evolution brings about a self-sufficiency. What does self-sufficiency means? Knowing your true nature. Knowing your true nature. Knowing your true self. Knowing your true worthiness. Example, the long story. The beggar turned into the king. Now coming back to begging again. Remember the story? Fantastic story it is. Upanishadic story it is. It's from the Upanishad. The king forgotten that he is the king. He assumed that he is the beggar, and now he got the knowledge that he is the king. The question is, did he attain kinghood? It was his already. It is his already. He just didn't know it. Now that he has known it, when he comes back to beg, that begging is happening out of, that begging now is happening out of self-sufficiency. Previously the begging is happening out of dependency. One man gives 1 rupee, very happy. 10 fellows shoo him away, he is very unhappy. Now one man gives 1 rupee, he is happy. Another fellow shoo him away and says, nothing doing. He is still happy. Because, you understand? That's all it is. Is it okay? So, always remember, spiritual evolution is not an attainment. Spiritual evolution is not an achievement. It is a remembrance of your original nature. You have forgotten it, you get it. Hence, it happens. No. Some people, they will be wearing their glasses and searching for glass. Have you ever observed it? Huh? See, that man, he is able to search very clearly because of the glasses. No. See, if the glass is not there, how can he even search? He is seeing things so clearly and he is searching. And you ask him, what are you searching? He says, my glass. And then you say, what is it that you are using to search? He got the specs back which he has lost. The lady, another example they gave, the necklace. Another example they gave, necklace. The lady lost the necklace. I lost it. When she is wearing it, she thinks, I lost it. And husband comes, okay. Yes, we have lost it. Abhada, agreed. Then what is it that is around your neck? Got it. She got the necklace back that she lost it. You can't say that she lost it. Now carefully follow. God realization, self-realization is not an attainment, is not an achievement, because in and through every perception of yours, God is there. In and through every action of yours, God is there. Each and every emotion, God is there. Each and every thought entertained, God is there. Because it is because of God enlivening, you are able to perceive, act, feel, think. The very fact that you are doing all this means God is there most constantly with you. Even in deep sleep, where everything else goes, He is there. Therefore, it's not lost. It's not lost. You don't recognize. Self-realization is a remembrance. Self-realization is a recognition. Every perception of yours is possible because of God. Everything that you see, who's making you to see? Is there. Each and every sight, you can remember? You can remember God because it is because of Him you are able to see. A recognition. Each and every sound that you hear, who is making you hear? He is making you. Therefore, you have never lost it. You have never lost it.